then afterwards, like, what did the Rebbe say? I have no clue. They looked like cool words, long words that, like, anyone reading it's not readable. So so translating is also a whole chachma. Yeah, yeah, okay. So enough talking. Which is actually, um, come to think of it, this is actually a has to do with the Sicha. Because what's going on over here? We have a thing, Rambam. Well, in this week's parsha, Hashem says that Moshe Rabbeinu is very unique. Um, I'm able to talk to him face to face. I could talk. I don't have to talk in riddles. He doesn't go nuts when I talk to him. He's not sleeping. He's on a higher level. No one else is on that. Um, so so in this parsha we do speak about prophecy, but then we see that the way the Rambam codifies in the Yad HaChazaka in his Mishnah Torah, which is halachis, he speaks about um, he speaks about prophecy, but in a few different places. So um, there's by the beginning by Hilchos by Yesodi HaTorah at the beginning of Rambam, he talks more Yesodi HaTorah, like the foundations of the Torah, which is like a prerequisite for doing what Hashem wants. In why should we listen to Hashem, or what is the Torah in the first place? Okay, so let's figure that out, and then we'll start talking about all the different mitzvahs that we need to do. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to the start. So in Rambam Hilchos Yesodi Torah, so at the beginning, when he speaks about prophecy, he says Miyesodi Hadas. It's from the main part. It's from the what's this Yesodi Hadas. It's the pillars of foundation of knowledge. That Hashem gives prophecy over to people. It talks to human beings. So the Rambam says, Nevuah, prophecy, only happens to a great sage. He's a great in chachma, and gibur mimidaisav, and he holds himself back from doing what is his nature. And there's never a time that his Yetzer Hara takes control over him. But through his thinking, through his mind, he is able to control his Yetzer Hara at all times. And he also has a broad mind that's more than we could ever imagine. And then he goes on and talks about what the Navi actually does, how he actually acts. So Fragment Farshim. So right away we start asking that where is the Rambam coming from? Where is his proof? Right? There's many times. What's the first thing that a Pirush on Rambam is going to ask is where is this halacha coming from?
Which was?
What?
Which Gemara it comes from?
Right, or either Gemara or whichever wherever it is, because the Rambam usually or almost always doesn't mention where it's from. He's doing that deliberately. So that's the first thing that Pirush says. So what does he say? So in Mesachas Nedarim, so in Nedarim, Zok Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan says in HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mishar Shechinasei, Hashem doesn't rest his Shechina when it doesn't rest on someone. Ela al Gibor v'Osher v'Chacham v'Anov v'Chulun M'Moshe. Is only by a strong person and a rich person and a smart person and a humble person. And this is all we see this from Moshe. We have dart opgelernt from pasuk. Yeah, each part is proven from a pasuk itself. Is Anav, even the Anav, like it says, Ish Moshe Anav Moshe. Moshe was the greatest, was the most humble. was von dem is mashma. From this we see von the Psuke Raya as Gibor und Osher made the pashut begufim mechasim, which on a side note, when the Gemara says that he needs to be strong and rich, it means actually physically he's physically strong and physically rich. So then why isn't the Rambam actually mentioning this? It says in the Gemara, so isn't this a prerequisite for a for being a Navi? So the Kasa Mishnah is Masbir as das was Ram sagt, is mitzad sforen auf Sheikh Kamer v'loy mahad Rabbi Nasan. He's not learning. So the Kashmir Mishnah says it's his own reasoning. He's not taking it from Rabbi Yochanan. From Rabbi Yochanan, yeah. Und his Masma, also Tam, was the Rambam bringt, nicht die Protomanal, is weil Rabbi. Is that a spelling mistake? Ah,
the 6.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I see. Okay, it's Masma, also Tam, was the Rambam bringt, nicht die Protomanal, is weil Rabbi Yochanan, but Mamori, so what did he say? Yenakush Baruch Shor Shchinase, redt wegen Hashras Hashchina in an Eufen von Kvios. Oh, so he separates. So the Kesef Mishnah says that the Rambam is differentiating between, and really the Gemaras are differentiating between two levels of Nevuah. There is someone that is constantly in a state of prophecy, and we'll talk about that. We'll understand what the Rosh is Mefarish min Nedarim, like the Rosh actually explains in the Nedarim itself. On the far further in sich die Alatanoim. So over there we mention all the different prerequisites for being on that level. Over shaloi b'kvius, but something that's not being a navi, not constant. Being even though he does not have those prerequisites, he's still able to have nevuah for a short period of time. So give all shafacham one. Rabbeinu le nachas achal lefarish al tznayanov release nambes avil shloi yehebik feels. But the Rambam is trying to show what are the prerequisites for any type of nevuah, even something that's not big feels. So the clearance is aber lecher nit glatig for him, but still it's this is not such a smooth answer. So nice of us. So firstly, was komtois. From this we see as the mila begashmis that a physical, a tangible, uniqueness, specialty, which is a gibur begufoi v'asher kipshutei. So just an actual strong person is signing a get. So ashos ashkinim bekfiyas. Maybe the mila samin is giving days of chulu. Can we really say that being a nice person, something that's more of a spiritual thing, is not as crucial than for a physical specialty? It should be the other.
Should be the opposite. I mean, the giver of Usher makes it more elevated.
Right. Shouldn't it be the other way around?
No, not to remove this. Oh no, I understand, but not the Usher.
Right.
Not figure away. The figure away this. Midas always have problem. The giver Usher saying, does that make the person the clearest? Why does it add to the levels?
Right. Why does the Gashmius add? Right. Well, it should be the other way. Is Adrabdir. Rugnis Gamal Staffin sein aggressor Goyim Visibotzach Ashkina big fees. Big word and Asher's Begashmius is caution. So right, it should be exactly. It should be the other way around. That you want to be on the level of Nevuah big fees. Okay, so then you have to actually be a nice person, not just a strong person.
You can buy everything with money, but not Nevuah.
Yeah, not Nevuah.
Right.
Yeah, it was pshat, and we'll see later on that Moshe Rabbeinu himself wasn't always rich. Only after first, what? Right, exactly. But there were before then. There was he had nevuah before then, but it wasn't on. He wasn't an usher. He had kviz. Right, but he wasn't rich. Was pshat?
Tikva Nebuah.
Right. Very good. But then we're going to see from this whole Sicha that it's actually very important to learn Chassidus. I mean, Chassidus, that's an easy way to say it, but it's very important to understand Hashem, to actually grasp, like that Hashem should make sense to us. Not just that it's a prelude to Mashiach, or, or like, how are we going to feel if we don't understand Hashem? Like, will we ever do mitzvahs? That itself is like the whole point of it. Like Hashem wants to be known. So nevuah is like the highest level of being known. We're like being a conduit, being a vessel for Hashem's no for Hashem's thought.
Word.
Is Moshe Rabbeinu. So that's really why the Rambam is actually even bringing it in halacha. Like, why is it even so important to know? Okay, good. So at least if we don't end up getting to the end, we got the answer, which is very important because it needs to be lishma. Like, Chassidus learning needs to be lishma. Right? But it's very important to learn lishma, meaning not for something else. So you're constantly running to another chasna, you'll never by the chasna that you're actually at. Like if everything is a stopover, if like when you go on Google Maps and you put in every single stop you have in the next week, then you'll never be anywhere because you're always just waiting to go to the next place. Like you'll never actually be in the place, right? You ever tried that?
That's what we know in battles. So they went in the middle for we can ourselves to get to them.
Right, and sometimes that was actually in today's Sichayel.
Al pi Hashem yachnu, al pi Hashem isol.
With
Even when you're parking, it's al pi Hashem. When you saw it's al pi Hashem. So it's one on one.
that the Asafiric Rebbe, why are you like opening yeshivas? Are you asking Mashiach you're saying Mashiach's coming, so now you're opening up yeshivas in America? Like, so he said, what do you mean? Like it's like in the midbar. Okay, so wherever you are, it could be 2 seconds, it could be a little longer.
Dude, this doesn't really true.
Wherever you are, it's a must. But okay.
What's all the one?
So, for was soll der Rabben reden nur wegen Ashras Hashem Avo Shalai Bekvis? But the truth is, why is he only talking about not Bekvis, that it's on a lower? Why is he only talking about lower level? Und nicht wegen der Tnoim, was ein nötig bei Ashras Hashem Bekvis. Was das ist doch gewesen, Matavano von Moshe Yeshaya im Yom Cholan V'Yom Proshim Torah. And anyways, if we're looking to the Torah for proof for what to write in Rambam, what to write in Halacha, so let's talk about the nevuas that are actually we're dealing with in the Tanakh. That's all of the Moshe, Yeshaya, and Yirmiyah, etc. They all were on that level of nevi. Okay. So, ich is l'chayr mehr negiert zum Beweis seiner Matzav Kavua, im Beweis zu seiner an ein Moleke Zach oder Bechlala Matzavarei. But anyways, you would say probably it makes more sense to quantify what it means to be a Navi Kavua than to say what is it to be a Navi just happenstance, just for a short period of time, not a long lasting. But the most important part of the question is from Pastor Zoshon in der Halacha, when Halacha is behemshech zu ihr, as much as I read, wegen Ashras Hashem bekvies, wegen a Navi Kavua. And based on halachas wegen alle sugenivim. But when we're looking at the way Rambam writes his halacha, he seems to be referring to Hashras Hashchina B'Kvias, meaning regarding a Navi Kavua, and also talking about all types of Navim. That's what he goes on to talk about the next few halachas. In Likkutei Torah, he talks about such what we have to listen to. He's not talking about that only Navi, not just Matzavara. Okay. As I'm the Mefarshim, so there are answers to this question. Was far answering, Fakert, that it should really be the opposite. That it's the opposite. The Ram halt as the halacha bleibt nicht wie Rabbi Yochanan. und a Gibber und Osher von a Poshet seine nicht muchen so Ashos Ashkin. That Rambam holds not like Rabbi. Yes, it's the Rabbi Yochanan. There is a Gemara of Rabbi Yochanan that is Gibber and Usher is needed for Tzos, but no, he disagrees. V'harayet zwischen die Levim seine gewen Asache, aber seine nicht gewen kein Gibber oder Asher, because we see in the stories in Tanakh that there were Levim that weren't strong or weren't rich. Mavis is muchach euch in Shasen, like in Gemara itself mentions, as es kann sein Asher Ashkina euch auf dem was is nicht kein Asher. Right? I mean, I don't know if the Rebbe kind of mentions also with Pirkei Avos, right? There could be Asher Ashkina even with 10 people. Yeah, the Gemara bring come them
Very poor.
Right. Yeah, the Gemara bring kam kemis dem sipur. We see in the story as it's Aroisa Basku min Hashamayim. Like so, yesh kain echad sharoi shetishol of shchina kamesh rabbeinu al shen deiroi zakai lekach. There's a Gemara, and that's mentioned many times. There's a story that's mentioned many. There's a story that's mentioned many times in the Gemara that there was once a heavenly voice, a Baskel, that said that there is a person here that is befitting for him for the Shekhinah to dwell on him, just like Moshe Rabbeinu, but his generation is not worthy of this. And the Chachamim looked at Hillel Azakin. Vasil is kedua geven a größer ani.
Where's it on the rooftop? Storage. Snow.
Right. But what is when I was learning this, I was thinking kiyodua. What does it mean kiyodua? Meaning as it's known, because what's the story really saying that the Baskel didn't mention that it was Hillel Azakin. But the Chachamim, who are they going to look at? They're going to look at Hillel Azakin, and they knew kiyodua, meaning they themselves knew that Hillel was poor, so they wouldn't have looked at him if that would have been a prerequisite. If that would have been an important part of being a Novi. So this is a proof from a Gemara itself. So now you're saying that there's an answer to say, there's a way to think that the really reason why Rambam doesn't mention Osher is because he doesn't hold of it in the first place, because of this story. Okay. Why? Yeah. Meaning, why did he go up to the roof? Because he didn't have money to give. Yeah.
Is that the story you want of the Mars quoted? One of them.
I know it from the Life of Hillel. You know the kids video.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, regards from Beryl Brockstadt.
Thank you.
I found out you're related, didn't you? Yeah. Okay, good.
Es bleibt aber nicht scheiße.
Es bleibt aber nicht scheiße. Und ja, dem, was bringt nicht Onov, was hat er? So still, why is he not saying Onov as one of the things? So von dem Sipper an aus Gemara when get to Lazokin is Mashma as dos was is given Royish Tishol Shino is going to be iket to lib sein anilus. With Gemara Firtois Ukashameis Omrolov Hulu Hayonov. Right, what was Hillel Azakin's specialty was that he was an Onov. So if that's the case, if the Rambam is looking to this story to look at what a Navi needs, so then he should say, if that's the case, okay, so then Onov is important, but then he doesn't mention Onov. Like we also see in this parsha, as that's what the pasuk sagt, wo ich möchte Adam mehr mit kol Adam ashra. Ne Adam is kein akdoma, so then was steht gleich nach dem, like kein auf die möchte bekommen wissen namu po daber boy right? So when the Hashem is mentioning the specialty of Nevuah from Moshe Rabbeinu is right after he mentions the Torah mentions that Moshe was the greatest, was the most humble from all people. So the Pashtos. So really, in truth, Voltman can't find and we could have answered at the time von Onov is Nichlal and then was the Ramazog, give him this like it's in Gabriel with over Boelam. right? So when we're saying that he has a good midas and he never succumbs to his Yetzer Hara, well, say Hanova is from the Miles Midas, right? So Hanova is one of the good character traits. Like as they're in Gibber Bekoyach, and when he says that he's strong mind, he's strong, bring the Ram Bamshad Dvorab. Arum Shumam Molam Cholaymus Elu Shalom Begufay.
Not physically muscle man,
Right.
mentally muscle.
Shalom Begufay, right. It's meaning someone doesn't need to be strong in order to be healthy.
Right.
Right.
His mind's supposed to be a strong, straight mind.
Aber Aleph Afilo Mizal Zogin as mit Shalom Begufay domain that I'm Abrius Ushlim Zagov Kipshutei. And even if we were gonna say, and even if you were gonna say that no, but still, even though even though you might even mention, you might even think that when he says that that he's healthy, it means like physically healthy, is das noch nicht der Maße von Giboy. Still, there's different levels. It's somewhat strong, right? Like I remember in
healthy, but not a gibo.
Right. Like I remember in SGP in camp, there was my bunkmate. There was one bunkmate that was able to jump onto the trees and make somersaults and everything. Not everyone was able to. Even everyone was healthy, but there was one bunkmate that was strong enough to do good. I was his son was my bunkmate. So right too. Yeah.
My son was in your book.
I somehow I think so.
Jump.
I remember somehow I remember the tree in front of the shul. I remember seeing it. He's just like reading on the tree and then playing on the tree. It's like
still jump. Right.
He's very yeah. Oh, but yeah. Weil der Sebne Gel an Nove, wie bald, as in Gemara steht Anov, als in Pnei Atzmei. So besides that, the Gemara actually mentions Anov as a separate quality. But was it the Rambam nit? In front of Pnei. So then, if Rambam is quoting the Gemara, it's okay. So mention in the Gemara. Somehow the Gemara wants to mention it, and then what? The Rambam's not going to mention it. So the Gemara, no, but Gebrat im Second Shabbos. But the truth is, this Gemara is also mentioned in Shabbos. Und dann wird gesagt, in Ashkin Shere El Al Chacham Givu Ashu Bal Koima, a tall person. There's a different. The wording is different. Davon verstehen wir dem Lechem Mishnah fragt. The Lechem Mishnah himself asks, "Das was the Gemara is meiste Bal Koima is Yeshleima." So yes, you would say someone that's tall. Yeah, Bal Koima is tall, right? Yeah, so we could say as das ist verbunden mit an uptight from Giboy, right? A strong person is also tall. Could maybe good sort of. Was in the Gabim Yochadart in der Sugin Shabbos, right? In that Sugin Shabbos, while it starts if wegen Goyvon Shel Levim, he's talking about the height of Levim. It's aber schwer, but still it's hard to say this. Why Farbos is the Gemara Dart Mashmit Anov. So first of all, why doesn't he mention Anov over there? And secondly, is Mishnah dem Seder is Mashanim dem Seder Gabevi in Nidarim Gibber Al Shachacham on evening Mechachim Gibber. Right. So the Gemara first talks about. See, now we're getting to the punchline that what the Rambam really cares about, and from the beginning of Rambam to the end of the Rambam, all is about knowledge. We need to know. When Moshiach comes, what are we going to do? We'll just be sitting and just learning Torah in order to understand.
When understand what that's the whole.
So now when he'll say that Torah, now we need to actually we actually know these things. So therefore, so Chacham is the highest, is the first prerequisite. Okay, good. We'll get there. Noch a schöner Löschen zwischen die zwei Sugis in den Darm steht in HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mishar Mishchinotzei und Shabbos in Ashchina Sheira. So one is Hashem doesn't dwell, it doesn't bring his Shechina there, or the Shechina doesn't dwell there. Okay, good. You would think maybe it's the same thing, but no.
That's what you yeah,
we'll see, because one is, if the whole point is for Hashem to dwell, then we're going to mention in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But if the whole point is how are we a keli? How are we a vessel for this specialty? So then it's the Shekhinah isn't shayter there. Good. I'm thinking this whole thing about being Medaik, the Rebbe is very into diuk of Rashi and Rambam. Like every single like
The Rebbe even Medaik in the Rambam why he put this all about it's all about base. Why is it about him?
Right now, it's the order.
Yes,
right.
Splitting hairs.
Yeah. It's so obviously because it's very important. The Rebbe is not trying to get us nuts. I don't think.
No, I know we could explain to you what is a nevuah.
It's obviously it's important. You ever see when you see what's good about seeing in the video is you see how the Rebbe really believes what he's saying.
Yeah.
You leave it. You're
like it's so true. It's so real.
You leave it. You're not
It's right.
It's
It's so real. Like it's like sweating from just saying. But fine. Yeah, actually once what was it? Simon? Simon once asked, or maybe Rabbi, or was it Simon Jacobson?
was what? Is also very knowledge cities guy. Yeah.
He worked on the Rebbe's Farbringens, like back in the day. So he mentioned that it's pity that Sichos don't have the like the emotion. Like it's not like when you read it, it's as if you're in the Farbringen. Whereas in Sichos Kodesh, like the Yiddish, the original, like it's written in a way, it's as if you could feel what the Rebbe is saying. Oh, good, fine. And you could imagine which one Simon worked on. Let's see. Meaning. Oh, meaning. Okay, good. It's being recorded. Okay, bei Mangdir sagen, dem Innen Nevuah, sagt der Rambam in the Yud Gimel Likra. So now we're going to see that this whole thing of Nevuah is not just in halacha as if, okay, maybe it's just okay, another mitzvah. But the Rambam actually codifies it in the pillars of faith. Like this is very crucial to Yiddishkeit. Yeah. Gedoilo v'nafshi sehen nechunes art shehem mekabetzuris hasechel acher can you double go see hasechel anushi? See how it touches it here.
It's like a 4 minutes.
A person who should know that among people, some naturally possess highly elevated character traits and great perfection, and their souls are so developed that they acquire the form of the intellect. And then, because of that, then this intellect merges with Hashem's intellect. So, and then it becomes one of the lofty effusion, emanating a lofty effusion to the person. You understand? Yeah. I had English in Cheder, and I don't know what that means. Okay, good. These are the okay, good. So that's what prophets are. That's what Nevuah is. Okay, so these are meaning it's crucial for Yidden to believe that there's a possibility that humans could become one with their mind could become one with Hashem. When I tell you and then also in halacha in what we talked about before in Yesod Torah. Yeah. No, it's isn't it's okay. Okay. We say that yeah, that it's from the pillars of faith is to know that Hashem prophesies into into you to you on his gleich wegen the Protut and then and how does it work? Oh, Ja, und euch wegen der Problem wieder noch kommt zu Nevoa und Archia Nevoa. We are smashing in der Locha, Adam Kishe, Conis the Partis, and we get them open on a Nevoa. And then he spells out this whole prophecy business, like how it works, what actually is done. Okay, was damit meint, nicht zu Metall sein und mit dir sein die Protein von ihm Seder Nevoa. He's not just trying to show the details. Bringt sie als in Yonim, was Idea Leda in is Miseda Das. He wants us to know this. So Miseda Das, right? It's very important for us to know this, not just that he's trying to let us know. Miseda Das is nicht nur zu wissen, als ist dort in einer Wurf, was ist how or Schöder auf Mene Odom, Gilus al Avodavanavim, Bechlal, nor euch die Idee in einem Eifen und Gederhanavur. It's important also to know the way and the way Nevuah actually happened. Und das ist verbunden mit Sechel v'das Hanavi, meaning that what do we need to know? We need to know that it actually that all of this has to do with the Navi's brain, the Navi's understanding. That what is he doing? He's the Navi is becoming very very knowledgeable, very humble in his mind, and give space for Hashem's knowledge to get to his brain, and that's when there is such an in of Nevo. Okay, is Manfred gets to Nevo, we come yeah. And so, weil das Nevo ist Agilui, was wird eine Sache mit dem Metzies das an Novi, ja, etc. Der Rebbe sein in der Idee, leider, ich bin nicht der Dark Nevo bei euch. So all of this, he wants to let us know that even while it's happening, so for example, we say not with Moshe Rabbeinu, but with lower level Nevi'im, and they would start losing themselves. They weren't able to
faith, like faith.
Or like they were not like nuts. No, what is it? What's the wording? Meshuga, something I think.
Yeah, it looks like sugar.
Right. So meaning what? Because their mind becomes so they became so engrossed in their mind, they lost control of everything else. Yeah. Nothing matters anymore. All just the understanding of Hashem. So and that's what's actually happening. Meaning the Rambam wants to let us know that it's not just a prerequisite. This is really what Nevuah is all about, is to know. And good. And the answer will be, why is this even why is this needed? Is because we need to know that this is really the purpose of learning Torah. Is to become one, is to make our mind a vehicle for Hashem, like in Tanya it talks about grasping. When someone says like, oh, I grasp a dvar seichel, well, like I grasp a theory, I could hold it. I
understand it so good, like I'm holding the box now.
Right.
But
that's what it means. So that's what it means.
Nevuah is important.
Nevuah is the highest level of that. Right. But so therefore, so for example, the Rambam is not going to go and mention, let's say, for what's the other specialties, what are the other prerequisites, because that's not really what he's trying to. He's not trying to get you to know how to become a Navi. That's not important for him. That's not what he's trying to tell you. He's not trying to let you know, like, okay, here is the idiot's guide to becoming a Navi. Not that I have anything against Nevuah.
There's no when you make a cake, what is it called?
Recipe.
There's no recipe to be an oven.
I'm sure there's I'm sure there's some safer.
Have to be an oven.
Bishop, I mean,
Let's say for Yetzirah is to create. Like that's a manual of how to create. right? Or how Hashem created the world. But obviously Rambam is putting it in his Sefer Halacha because this is a crucial part. Not just that, also Yud Gimel Ikrim, and even though Sefer Ikrim don't mention it as one of the 13 Ikarim, but they make it the Sefer Ikrim makes it as a offshoot of another foundation, another foundation of believing Torah. And if, in order to believe, part of believing in Torah, we need also believe that there's such a thing as Nevuah, obviously because there's
That's why I'm right.
right. But then the truth is that what's the point of the Navi in the first place? The Navi, like we see in Malachi, the whole point, right? The last Navi, he said that I'm only here to bring you closer to Hashem. The whole point of Nevuah is to become closer to Hashem, and the Navi himself is becoming a vehicle for Hashem's voice, right? It's like Divrei Elikim Chaim. He's like a Mimotza Mechaber. He's the one that connects, is not catalyst, the one that it goes through him. Like in order for us to hear what Hashem, in order for Hashem to yeah, is a channel, right? Right. So so Hashem wants to Hashem wants to let us know certain things. So he uses the Navi, he uses the Navi's voice to get to us. But it's really to be closer to Hashem. So therefore, this is one of the 13 Ikrei Amunah, because this is the whole point of all these of learning Torah is to become one with Hashem. That to take away, to mevatel our ratzin and our seichel for Hashem's seichel. Like now, Torah is going to make sense to me. Why? Because I understand it. And Nevuah is the highest level of that. Good. So
die didn't get it, right? And already Pochet Schwarz and a good man there. So much Rabbeinu, you talk to Hashem and talk to us. They're already there. They couldn't help. So a Nevuah will be every person, it wouldn't be able to help. So you need the one of bring us the Nevuah is part of there. It's not like extra thing.
Yeah, it's very important to learn. And the more we learn, the more we become Hashem's people. It's important.
But learn more and get a Novi. No. As much as
even while
need a Novi.
Right. Meaning, and besides, even the 1 second of learning, the malachim would already expire just from one piece of Torah.